So the survival of Cubby Station remains in some doubt. What's not in doubt is the fragility of the price of cotton, on which the future of Cubby will be decided. Here's the cotton roller coaster from the start of 2009, when the price was about 50 cents a pound. You can see the price edging up until that remarkable peak of more than $2 a pound last March. That's the equivalent of more than $1,000 a bale. Since then, of course, the price has been a downhill racer. Yield figures for cotton farms vary a lot, of course, but at an average of 10 bales a hectare for irrigated cotton and inputs of about $2,500, the break-even for cotton is therefore about $250 a bale, maybe a bit more. Now, cotton is traded on the International Commodities Exchange at the New York Board of Trade. The latest price for October delivery cotton is just over $1 a pound, or in Aussie terms between $500 and $600 a bale. And that's the price would-be buyers of Cubby Station will be watching closely. Moving on to the sale yards, where there appears to be something of a standoff between producers and buyers, with neither party enthusiastic about trading. Beef Central newsletter reports yardings were way down last week as dry and cold conditions covered most of the country. Beef Central also suggests many producers might be waiting for the traditional August price spike. So prices lifted in all categories on the back of the low numbers. Exporters continue to struggle to put box beef into Japan, but oddly, that cow market for America remains reasonably strong. The key Eastern Young Cattle indicator remains firm at $3.76. The live trade remains very slow, with nobody bidding as yet for Indonesian cattle. But a boatload of breeders have gone to that country and another ship headed for Israel. And over in the west, Willard sent that big ship, the Ocean Shearer, to Egypt with 9,000 head of cattle on board. Now, checking our ovine friends, we find big numbers of new season lambs bumping into what's left of their older mates. Seasonal conditions have left quality good alongside strong competition. And despite this week continuing the downward trend of prices, on a seasonal basis, lamb prices lifted 18% in the financial year just ended. Turning to grains now, and a talking point to emerge from last week was the Greenpeace raid on a CSIRO site near Canberra. Greenpeace destroyed an experimental crop of GM wheat in the early hours of Thursday. The GM wheat was being trialled for better yield and nutritional value. Greenpeace claims the wheat is not safe, but CSIRO says scientific evaluation is essential.
When we're looking at the issues of food security, a global food task going to increase by 2050, when we're looking at health issues, we need to make sure the research is there. And that was what was being done, and it was just a reprehensible act by these people. Now,
damage to that experimental crop is estimated at $300,000. Futures trading now, and futures trading in Chicago last week saw wheat give back early gains. Corn did much the same, while soybeans firmed yet again. Wheat looked to be on the toboggan, but that is a substantial comeback, while corn prices have support from forecasts of hot and dry weather through the American grain belt. In fact, it's worth noting that drought in America is emerging as a major issue, both with crops and cattle. Back home, drought is a word from last year, and the ASX futures bounced nicely in response to the global trend. West Australian wheat for January delivery lifted nearly $19, while milling wheat from the east went up $22. Local old crop prices are so-so. There's some interest in sorghum, but elsewhere demand is steady at best. Now briefly back to New York for sugar. Latest tip is that the production in Brazil might be down even further than expected. So Australian cane growers are now ordering lemons yet again. That's so they can get that 24-hour smile off their faces. The price dipped a fraction later in the week, but is now 50% up since mid-May. And finally to wool, which firmed nicely last week despite a huge offering, close to 60,000 bales. And we missed it last week, but still worth reporting. The Sandland family of Lexton in Victoria sold a bale of ultrafine wool at auction in Geelong for a remarkable $182,000 just for one bale. The bale, measuring an even more remarkable 11.4 microns, was knocked down to Italian interests. Congratulations to all concerned. Last week, the Eastern Market Indicator closed at 1,361 cents, up a fraction, about 0.1%. And wool sales are now in recess for 3 weeks. And that's the Landline check on prices.